Last year, I pulled back the curtain on my crazy lady tendencies, and after a year of documenting almost every breath that I take personally and professionally, there were three things I noticed about my habits and workflow that certainly were not sustainable. So, in this video, I'm going to share exactly what I learned and the new methods I'm implementing for 2025. What's up, you beautiful mother? I'm Sara Loretta, and on my channel, I help you redefine your work, improve your processes, and streamline your tech, whether you're a team of one or a team of some. So let's get into it. 2024 is what I am coining as the year I worked backwards. Before this, I had never tracked my time or my daily activity. I just worked. But it was clear that I wasn't spending the time I wanted outside of client projects. And so I created this frankly insane multi-calendar system to categorize my activity from admin and planning to content, project management, and meetings. This allowed me in real time to see exactly where my hours were being spent and then, of course, tweak accordingly. And it still works great, but after the year, I realized it was time to level it up and actually pay attention to what some of these productivity gurus, people who are smarter than me, what they're saying. Which brings us to two methods that I am implementing this year, which I've already started. The first is the ideal week. Now, while Abdaal did not invent the ideal week, I was watching one of his videos about crafting his calendar using this triage method for time blocking. The process is pretty simple. So his method is that you basically create a schedule calendar, something that's hidden and private, to block your ideal day or your week. You can also obviously do this on a public calendar as well. And after reflecting on last year, there are three things that I did not prioritize as much as I wanted. First is working out. Second is learning/development. And three is personal reading. Now, learning and development is literally go back and look at all the bookmarks that I've saved on LinkedIn and Twitter. Watch videos that I've marked as save for later on YouTube. And then personal reading is things from the library, fiction, fun things, New Yorker magazine, etc. So within my 2025 ideal week, you can see that I've made time for those things when I know I will not be interrupted to actually do them. I think that was a key finding that I had in last year's stuff is even though I was kind of dipping in and putting little blocks here or there for lunch is a great example. If a call ended up getting on my calendar during that time, I would just push lunch off and then dinner would come in and be like, oh my God, I haven't eaten today. That's just really bad habits, right? And so what I'm doing is actually making a point to block these in a way that nothing can distract me from actually doing them. And so I've shifted my wake up time just a little bit so I can work out first thing in the morning. You guys know I've been doing hot works, which is like a HIIT or an ISO workout inside of a sauna. Workouts are max 40 minutes. It takes me 10 minutes to drive there and back. So it's a 1 hour block, which is perfect for me first thing in the morning. And then I immediately am going to be following that by breakfast/learning because I definitely can drink my juice or my coffee while I am watching and taking notes from a video. And then lastly is locking in time to read before bed. I get into a really bad habit of not necessarily scrolling, but just watching YouTube for 2 hours before I go to bed. I'm currently, shout out, currently obsessed with Caleb Hammer. That's all I do. I feel is watch Caleb Hammer videos. And that's just not a good use of my time. I would rather put my phone away and grabbing my reader has been really great. But I don't have, I think to that point, just a little side quest. I'm not oh, I want to read 50 books in a year. I just literally want to read all the books that I've tagged as want to read in my reader app, So aside from personal improvement goals, I've also blocked out deep focus time. And over the holiday, I actually read the book, A World Without Email. There were things in that book that I didn't have language for or that I had kind of been tiptoeing thinking about that would, I guess, be considered radical in the sense of how we look at how we work and what we consider productivity. And it just really was oh, yeah, I own my own business. I can also own how I work every day. And if that means I need to block out time and get rid of things, so be it. And so aside or coincidentally, of the deep focus block. My goal is to start each block with a 10-minute notification to just check my email, check my Slack, make sure before the work I'm actually doing, there's like no updates, and then tap into the work that I need to complete. And on top of that, as you guys already know, I do these like work with me live streams where 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I live stream my whole work day. And a lot of times I will screen share, or I'll just like, you can kind of see my screen in the background, but it's blurred if I'm working on something that's NDA. But this is really nice. And what I found with kind of this like screen doubling is I'm less likely to switch tabs and be distracted during these times. And so with these deep focus blocks, I'm actually mapping out like, okay, these are the things I'm going to get done technically in these 4 hours, and I'm going to do it while I live stream. So that way people hold me a little more accountable. So the last thing that I want to call out is that calls overtook my life in 2024. Also, events did too. And I'm still going to stand by what I said, that I would prefer a 15-minute chat over an extensive email thread. And, you know, I'm fine with that. I think that there is a lot of benefit to going to events and to networking, but looking back at my time, there was very few moments that I could particularly contribute to moving the needle in my business, especially on the event side. So I've decided for 2025 that I'm bringing some more boundaries back, and I'm only opening Tuesdays and Thursdays for calls on my calendar. Usually last year it was like, 9 a.m. to noon every day, but now Tuesdays are only for clients that are signing on, because I do 4-hour kind of offsites with all my new clients. And then Thursdays are literally for anything else, sales, one-off consulting. Like that is the only time that you can book with me. And so if you have to wait a week or two, too bad, so sad. All that to say, it has been 2 weeks since I've implemented this ideal week, and I'm really happy to report that I have stuck to the layout about 95%. There were just like a few previously booked items that I just didn't want to move. I'd rather just like get it out of the way. So there's that. And then that is something, that Ollie touched on in this video that I watched, is like, that's what the whole point of the ideal week is. It's to give you guidance so you can achieve as much as possible, but also understanding like there will be times where you just have to work around it. So the second piece to my 2025 calendar planning schedule is Jesse Itzler's Big Ass Calendar. Now, if you don't know, Jesse is Sara Blakely's husband, and he has this thing called the Big Ass Calendar, and it's literally this mega dry erase paper basically that he's developed that allows you to see the entire year on one big thing. And he has in this a 3-part strategy to have an ideal year. I will actually link his workshop down below. I think it's like 20 minutes. He kind of talks through a lot of it so you can kind of skip around. But if you want to dive into more detail, I definitely recommend going and watching that. I will say with caveat, I did not buy his BAC. I developed it within my Google Calendar because I was thinking about this, and it's like, I don't want multiple things floating around. Like if I'm going to achieve this, it needs to be in one solid place. Like I'd even started developing it in Notion, and I'm just like, no, out. Google Calendar, okay? But the gist is that you write down, the first piece of the strategy is you write down every single thing that you already have planned for the upcoming year. So travel, conferences, vacations. This is a great example, right? ACL. I go every year because it's over the weekend of my birthday. I haven't bought tickets yet, but I know I'm going. I am going to block that in my calendar so nothing that comes up can interfere and I can say no. Like I mentioned, I am using my primary Google Calendar. I still am using the multi-system, but the actual calendar that's associated with your email, the main calendar, that is what I'm using for my BAC because it overrides everything for like out of office days when you want to block that whole day. So last week, the week before, I spent about 2 hours adding everything that I know is happening and blocking out those days so I'm not double booked. That happened a lot in 2024. Like I can count on multiple fingers how many times I had like a client onboarding for 4 hours in the morning a half-hour break and then like multiple calls after that. And I'm just like not doing that anymore. So days that, this is also kind of like a side quest, is that days that clients onboard, I am blocking out the entire day and not allowing anything else on my calendar the day before so I can prepare the day of. So the next piece of his method is crafting your Muskogi. In English, kind of this culminating event for the year. It's a Japanese phrase. So when you look back at the end of the year, his method to this is that you have one thing that you attribute to 2025. So right now, my Muskogi is attending the Create and Cultivate Festival in July. So when I look back in December and go, if I could sum up 2025 in one event or like one thing I achieved, what would it be? I think definitely like the needle can change on that. I think, there's a lot where unless you're actually like working towards something like launching a book, it's okay to pick something that is coming up, but then maybe if something bigger happens, like that would be your Muskogi. And then the final piece is setting aside for what Jesse calls mini adventures. As he puts it, these do not need to be things that you spend money on, but that are things you don't normally do and allow them to help create memories. So his suggestion is that you create one mini adventure day every 6 weeks. So for instance, my first of the year could have been the New Year's polar bear plunge, for instance, right? Like you're doing something that is different. It's giving you memories. It's giving you experiences. His example in the workshop was like doing a sweat lodge. He had never done a sweat lodge before, and that was one of his mini adventures. So aside from crafting my ideal week and adopting the big calendar, I've also implemented an additional few calendar habits to keep me on track personally. So those include due dates for client phases and deliverables. I add these at the start of every project, and it allows me to easily see what's coming up so I can pre-schedule items within my deep focus blocks. I was kind of already doing that in Slack and in different ways, but this is like a hard, like it is an all day event on my calendar. It is blocked ahead of time. So I am working more strategically spread out rather than frankly procrastinating. I'm very good at procrastinating. I do my work very well, but that is not where I see my future going. The next is reminders for building better habits. So updating my finances on a bi-weekly cadence, for instance. And then the last one, and this one's pretty fairly large, is my content structure. So each day I have it blocked to know exactly what I need to post or what has not been produced yet so I can be more proactive. So this also kind of taps into deep focus, right? If I have a week where I haven't edited a video, for instance, or created my newsletter, I should be able to see at all times what's moving and what pieces are not complete so I can do better. Because listen, don't we all want to batch? I would love to batch content, but you got to get there, So, okay, now that I've shared everything, this probably seems like a lot, but I realized I personally, just for my own growth and mindset, that I needed to box myself in more clearly so I could see my time as it's directly correlated with the goals I've set and am working towards. And if you found this breakdown helpful, I would love it if you smash that like and subscribe button so we can feed the algorithm, and drop in the comments below what you're going to implement if you're taking anything away, and I'll see you in the next video. Ew. Oh, hey, did you know that it costs $0 to create efficiency in your business? Go to the description down below and download my free workbook to see how you can start working better.